bad, good.
It was December time, 2020. And December time was just amazing. I had my family on my side, and we were in level 2 lockdown. The rules said that family can be able to visit. We can be able to visit family. Family can come through to us. Obviously, we need to follow the rules and regulations by wearing masks, sanitizing everything. So it was great that my family came through from Joburg. We had a Christmas lunch at my aunt's beautiful house, and it was one of the most amazing days in my life, I think in my family's life, because we did not know what was gonna happen next. So we had fun. We really had fun. And when it comes to this, I usually, like, when memories come through on my Snapchat, because Snapchat is so extra, they actually remind you of what was happening back then. I don't usually look at my memories in 2020 December, because it reminds me of everything that happened, which was horrible, and I just don't go back to my memories from that day. Like, the pictures are still there, but I just don't go back to, I don't look at them, like I don't look at them in a happy heart. I look at them in a very sad heart, and in a very, yeah, it was hard. It was really hard. And if I'm not making sense when I'm telling this, it's because it's something that I haven't dealt with fully, and I need you to understand that it's still hard for me and my family to be speaking about this, because it was really hard. Let me just powder my face quickly, because I feel like I'm starting to be oily, and I just need to breathe a little, and I'll come back just now. Christmas Day was amazing. As I've said, that we had gone for lunch to my aunt's house, and we had a really good time. After that, I think it was like the 28th, we went to Emakaya at my mom's side of the family, and we also had umcimbi there, which was really amazing. It was really nice. Like, it was so nice. I saw cousins that I've never seen in my life, and we got along so well, and the place was just amazing. Everything was just nice. Like, the vibes were amazing. Like, I saw my brother, because my brother was also on that side, so we saw my brother, and the vibes were just amazing. So before we left Durban to go to Emakai, we had left my sister in Durban because she is a busy woman. She works in a restaurant, so during December times, like, you can't really afford to be out or to have a holiday, because people are actually coming to restaurants to eat. So she couldn't really leave and go to another place where in her workplace it was so busy. So we left her, and she was really sick. Like, she had flu. She was very sick. And I even asked myself, how is she gonna go to work if she's so sick, like if she's this sick? But then, because she's a strong woman, she went to work. And my mother also was not really well when we went to Emakaya, but she just had a flu, or so we thought. So when we came back, my mother was like, no, this is not normal flu, we might just have COVID, so we need to go test. So my mother went with my sister and my 2 cousins. They went to, no, it was my sister and my mother who went to the hospital to go test where she works. So they went to test in the morning, and I really didn't think much of it, because I honestly thought that, no, this is just not gonna come to us. Like, it's not gonna come to us. Yes, we're seeing it around, yes, we're seeing it on TV and everywhere, but it's just not gonna come to us, because we've been so mindful of the rules, and we've been disciplined. But all of the people that actually died were also disciplined. My mother called my uncle, because my dad, I think he wasn't answering the phone, I don't know why, but my mother called and she told my family to she told my uncle to call the whole family to one room, and then he must put her in loudspeaker so that she can be able to address the whole family. And then she told us that my sister and her, they had COVID. They tested positive for COVID, and that was a big blow on our faces. On my face, I'm gonna speak for myself now. It was a big blow on my face because I never really thought that this was gonna happen. Although it was happening to families that were really close to us, but I really didn't think that it would actually happen to my family as well. So it was really hard to be able to face a thing like that, like to face that type of news, those type of news that my family has COVID. And then later on in the afternoon, my father and my two cousins went to the hospital to go test for COVID, and my two cousins tested negative, but my father tested positive for COVID. And there was only just the three of us left who were not tested, who haven't tested at all. So we had to go to the hospital the next day. It was me, my uncle, and my aunt, and we went to test. I tested negative, my aunt tested negative, but my uncle tested positive for COVID. So there were 4 people in total who had COVID in the house, and there were 4 people who were negative in the house. So my family from Joburg, they said we need to go home to heal at home, because my uncle was not sick, but he just had COVID, but he was just not sick. So they just said, let's just go home. They went home the next day, the next morning they went home, and it was only the 4 of us who were left at home, which was me, my sister, my mother, and father, because my brother wasn't around. So we were the only people who were left, and I feel like I was the only person who was left in the house, because my mom and dad had each other, and my sister, she was all alone in her room, and I couldn't really go upstairs to my bedroom. I had to stay downstairs and actually live downstairs, because I couldn't go upstairs because the whole house was contaminated, but at least the dining room and the sitting room were fine. So I had to take care of the whole family, which was so hard for me. Like, I felt so much pressure, not from them, but pressure from myself, so that I can be able to help them, so that they can be able to be fine again, and so that we can be able to go back to our normal lives. I had to take care of them. I had to make them breakfast, lunch, supper. I had to give them their medication. I had to do every single thing in the house. I had to clean the house. I had to make sure that the house was clean, that all the surfaces were cleaned up. I had to do everything in the house. I never watched TV. My phone was just there, but I was just not using it because I did not see the reason why I should use it when my family is here. They're sick and I'm stressed, and I just couldn't use my phone. The only person that I used to speak to was my friend. She was the only person that I used to speak to, but I just couldn't speak to anyone because I was not in the right state of mind to be saying anything to anyone. There was a day when my mother got really sick. She got extremely sick that she could not even breathe properly. I remember she had said that she wants to just come downstairs to watch TV because she hadn't watched TV in a few days. So she was like, I just want to go downstairs to watch TV, so can you guys just hold me and let's just go downstairs. I was like, fuck that, like I am definitely gonna hold my mother. I do not care if I get the virus or not, but she's my mother and I need to take care of her. If she said she wants to watch TV, I will definitely take her to watch TV. So that's definitely what I did. I helped her down the stairs and she watched TV. The one thing that went wrong was when she had to go upstairs, she couldn't walk at all, because when she tried walking, she just couldn't breathe. So we had to stay downstairs for the whole night. I did not sleep at all because I was taking care of her. I was sleeping on the couch because that's the only place that she could feel comfortable. She couldn't even go to the room that was even downstairs because it wasn't easy for her to do that. So we stayed up whole night. We couldn't sleep. Both of us, we couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep because she couldn't sleep. She was sick. So the next morning she was like, guys, I cannot live in this house. I'm gonna die in this house. I need to go to the hospital. So before we even went to the hospital, this was one of the most saddest things I had ever seen in my life. My father came downstairs when my mother was going to the hospital, and he just came downstairs and he held her hand. He never said anything, he just kept quiet. And my mother was like, I'm coming back home. I'm definitely gonna come back. And my father just did not say anything. He looked at her and he went inside the house, and that was it. My father was one person that did not like hospitals at all, so it really terrified him when someone had to go to hospital, so he couldn't say anything. The previous night he was like, nobody's going to hospital, you guys are going to stay in this house, nobody's going to go to hospital, because he was very terrified of hospitals. And yeah, it really showed in the end that just didn't like hospitals. So my mother went to hospital, and we had to visit her every now and again. There was this one time when we went there, she was like, but why didn't you come with your father? And we were like, but he's sick also, so we can't really come with him here. And then the same day, I went to my cousin's house, my other family's house, just up the road. I'm actually looking at the house right now. And I went there to just chill with them. So while I was chilling, it was raining heavily. And my sister called me. I think it was like 6 o'clock. Yeah, it was 6 o'clock. It was already dark. And which was very odd because it was summertime. So in summertime, it doesn't really get dark that early, but it was actually a sign that something is gonna go down today. My sister called me and she was like, if you don't get here in 2 minutes, I'm leaving you. I'm like, but what's happening? She was like, please just come, we need to go. I was like, okay. I left everything. I was holding my shoes in my hands because there was a whole lot of mud, so I couldn't really run with my shoes. I ran bare feet down to my home. When my sister told me, she said that she had went to my mom and dad's room. She found dad sleeping, and then there's this thing, like it's a small machine that checks your pulse if it's in a good condition or not. And then my sister checked my dad, and my dad's pulse was at 50, which is not, I don't think you can even live when you are at 50. You need to be at 92 or above. So my dad was like at 50 something, and my sister was like, we are going to hospital right now. So we went to the hospital and they admitted him. That's when my mother got really sick. She got extremely sick because she saw my dad, and it was just a mess. It was just a mess. I called my friend that night and I told her that this has happened. I'm so scared. Both my parents are in hospital. Maybe they're both not gonna come back. And I discovered it a few weeks ago, I think, that my sister actually thought that they were both gonna die, and which was really sad because that was going to be our new reality. And I don't think that I would be here today if that would have happened. We usually went to visit them, and there was this one time when I went to visit and my mother just could not recognize us. I spoke to my dad and I asked my dad, what's going on? Like, why is mom like this? And my dad was like, she's not feeling good at all. She is not doing good at all. Your mother is really sick. So I was really sad, and I thought that, okay, this is the end. And I told my sister, I didn't actually tell my sister, but I was really quiet the whole way when we were going home. And my sister was like, I know how you feel, but she's gonna be fine. Don't feel scared. She's gonna be fine. And I was like, yeah, no, this is really bad. And then the next day came, and I was like, hey Boma, why are you like this? Like, also right? And she was like, oh, hi guys. I was like, didn't you see us yesterday? She was like, no, I did not see you guys. I did not even know that you were here. And we were talking and we were speaking about my graduation, because I knew that I've already passed. And I was like, guys, you just really need to be there for my graduation. And my mother was like, I would not miss it ever. I would not miss my daughter's graduation. my dad was just quiet. My dad was a quiet person because, like, I think we were just too much for him because we are all like papa, we like talking and stuff like that. So my dad was not really a person who was really talkative when it came to us. So I think we were just too much for him. So he was just quiet, he was busy on his phone. And then days went by, my mother was fine, my dad was not okay. That's when things started going south. My dad was not fine at all. When my mother called me, she's like, Bongs, your dad is not doing good. He's very sick. I think this is getting to him. Like, it's really getting to him, right? And I was like, okay, but my dad is a really strong man. He goes to the gym each and every day. He does not miss it for the world. The only thing that has stopped him from going to the gym was lockdown, but he's one person that goes to the gym each and every day. Please pardon me for the airy sound. It's the fan. It's really hot in this room, so I'm so sorry if you're hearing the sound. So anyways, I did not even believe that COVID will be such a huge thing on my father, because he was a very strong man. Like, everybody who knew him knew that he liked the gym. He usually went to the gym every single day. So he was one person who was a very strong man in the inside and out. So I never really thought of anything about it. I was like, okay, he's just gonna look like he's gonna be fine. He's just gonna be fine. And so as the week went by, of which it wasn't really so many days, honestly, like it was a few days. So a few days later, my sister had went to work, and every day before she went to work, she usually went to the hospital and then goes to work and then come back later. So I really tried being fine because I was all alone in the house. Like, I was usually alone when my sister is at work. She used to come back not late, but she used to come back at like 4, and I would be alone the whole day with nobody to talk to, because I couldn't even just hold my phone on my hand. Like, I couldn't just do that. As days went by, my mother called me in the afternoon, and she was like, actually it was on Sunday. I remember very well because this is quite a significant day in my life. So it was on a Sunday, and on this particular Sunday, which was the 11th of January, my mother called me and she was like, B, it's getting hectic, and the only thing that will help your father is prayers and a miracle, because he really needs a miracle to happen so that he can be fine. That was her telling me that it's over. So after she said that, we ended our conversation, and it was in the afternoon. So in the afternoon, I remember my cousin came down and he sat with us in the house. He was like, I don't care if I get sick or not, but guys, I need to see you. So he came down and he said that there is something that is weighing over his shoulders. He's like, his shoulders are so heavy, they're feeling very heavy. And I told him the same thing, and I was like, I'm also feeling the same thing. You are definitely not alone. I'm also feeling the same thing. After we had said that, he said, guys, I'm going to see you tomorrow. Be well. And he left. And in my mind, I knew that something was going to happen. I was going to wake up to very bad news in the morning. And that's how I am. Like, I usually know when something wrong is going to happen. I'm usually aware that something is going to happen before it even happens. And I think that is one of the gifts that God gave me, where I can actually see things before they even happen. Although I don't see them in full detail, but I do see before they happen. So I knew that I'm gonna wake up in the morning and I know that something will be wrong. Something would have gone wrong. So at night, I think it was like 12 to 1, my sister came to my room and she was like, B, mom is calling you. I was like, oh, that's nice, mom is back. I quickly went downstairs to go see my mother because it was really a long time since she came back home, and she was carrying a see-through plastic, of which I know that it's a hospital plastic, but I just thought that, okay, these were her belongings because she didn't have a bag. Of which she did, but I was just telling my mind that, okay, it's just because she doesn't have a bag. Then when I greeted her, I was like, oh, where's dad? And she was like, dad is gone. I'm like, gone to where? Is he in another hospital? Did you guys transfer him? What happened? And that's when I broke down completely. I cried hysterically. It was so bad. It was really bad. My aunts and cousins came down to come see us because they just live up the road, and it was really, really, really bad. It was so sad. The house was somber. We were not feeling good. I did not sleep that night because, yeah, hey, how do you sleep when your dad just died? Honestly, like, how do you even sleep? It was really a sad moment for us, but everything just happened very fast, and we were all, our minds were not in a good state. The house was very dark. The house started to be lighter, I think, around March when we did our dad's ceremony. But before that, the house was really dark. We did not have anything good to say about anything in our lives. Everything was just very bad. And you know how people were buried in COVID-19 time. You could not see your family member or anyone you were burying. The only time that you could see that person was when you're going to identify the body. So we could not see our father before he was laid to rest, which was really bad. It was really bad. Like, it was extremely bad. And when the people from the funeral parlor came to the house, he couldn't they couldn't take his body to the house, like inside the house, because of his condition, because he died of COVID. We only saw him, like, we only saw his box at the gate, and that's the only closest thing we could see of him. It was his box, and that was it. Like, that was the last time we actually saw of anything that could connect us to him. Even to see his face, like through a glass or something, we couldn't even see that, which was one of the most saddest things that I've went through in my life. To actually see the person who actually raised me for all of my life being buried in a plastic, because the box was rolled in a plastic, and it was so inhumane actually to see that our parents are buried this way. And how our government failed us was that there was no, I'm not going to get into this, but it was so sad to see that the next week after his burial, they had closed the rule that people are not to be buried in plastic. They can be buried like normally, and people can be able to see their loved ones even though they had died of COVID. So it was really sad to think that the rules changed a week after my dad passed away, of which it was so unreal. It was really unreal. Like, it was so, I cannot believe it even till now. I don't know if I want to continue speaking about this anymore, because I am actually not feeling okay now. But all in all, I just want to say that the whole protocol of COVID and how people were buried, how our parents were buried in these times, was just not, it was not something that we thought we could ever go through in our lives. And till today, like, I am not okay with the whole burial thing, because there are so many things that were happening undercover, of which we discovered. But it's fine. Like, it's fine. It already has happened. I haven't healed 100% from this whole thing, from my father's passing and from COVID, but we are getting there as a family. I'm getting there as an individual. And to those who also lost their parents through COVID, I'm so sorry about that, and I hope that you guys are finding a way to heal with everything. And yeah, it's tough, eh? It is really tough. Like, I can't even believe that I stayed through this whole video without even breaking down. um yeah, he was quite a good man. He was a really good man. I lived with him all my life. He was never out of my life. So I really appreciate his presence in my life and my family's life. You learn to live with the pain. It really doesn't go away, but you learn to live with it, and that's definitely what we're doing as a family. um I think I'm just gonna lie down for a bit after this video because I'm not feeling too well after speaking so much about what was happening in my life. And hopefully, for you guys who have also dealt with family members passing away um, with COVID, I hope that you guys do find healing in your hearts and just be fine. If you need to go to a therapist, psychologist, whatever, you please go and speak to them so that you can heal and you can be fine. And to everybody who lost their loved ones through COVID, I wish you nothing but the best and stay blessed. To all of those who have suffered through other people's hands by being abused, I hope that you also find healing in your hearts. And this was really tough for me, but I hope that I did speak sense. And yeah, I don't think I'd ever do a video like this ever again in my life because it was really hard starting with it. And yeah, thank you guys so much for your time, and I will see you on the next one. Bye guys.